continues now with series number 3 of the day. It's SEA versus North America. Optic Gaming had a very good group stage, nearly made it all the way through to the upper bracket, but then somehow ended up in the tiebreakers, and that's why they find themselves now in action against Mineski, who were absolutely fantastic in their group. They came through in second place after a 6-1 record, and they now go head-to-head with their North American cousins. How it pans out, I have no idea. But 3 men that do know how it will pan out are on the panel right now.
North American fan gaze. Hi.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I was going to set it up as, SEA analyst versus North America analyst. But he started off pretty, his early game's really strong. Is your mid game okay?
I'm actually really glad that it's me and Winter on this panel. Jack, I love you too. I'm sorry. No offense to that. But this is going to be good because I'm actually rooting for Mineski.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's introduce you to the 2 teams.
Welcome on stage, Optic Gaming. Welcome on stage, Mineski.
Here we go then. Mineski versus Optic Gaming. The first ever meeting between these 2 teams. They've never met before in a professional Dota 2 match, although PPD does have 3 recorded matches against Mineski, all of them at the Manila Major a couple of years back, and a 2-1 victory from them doesn't really make any difference to him right now. How does he prepare his young lions for this game, though?
Ooh, for this one, I think banning out a lot of the, at least approaching first Mineski first, is to ban out a lot of their comfort heroes. But problem with me with that is right now that Mineski just looks super confident, and their drafting has kind of changed the style. They've been looking a lot more like they're taking these risks, and it's been working out for them. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a harder approach than usual for Optic.
Yeah, you said yesterday, Winter, that you were concerned a little bit for the younger members of this team that maybe nerves would play a part. If they did yesterday, it didn't show. that came through the game very easily. That experience usually translates to a much better day 2, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely that's a good sign for especially CCNC to be on top of his game, especially the DP game. He absolutely dominated his mid-lane matchup. That's really a good sign for them. I think overall PPD has a lot of experience as a captain to lead the younger players and make sure that they play their best.
Yeah, and one of the more experienced, other than Peter, is obviously Pycat, who's again having another great tournament, isn't he?
Yeah, we've been talking about him as one of the backbones of this team. A resurgence in a sense for him as well. There was a period of time where he was off the map a little bit as a player, but he's come back as a very dependable carry player. We talked about he also had captaining experience in the past as well. So it's just similar to Mushi in a lot of ways as well. Mushi also kind of looking to reinvigorate his career after some time with DK in China with his former coach now. 71 is coaching Mineski. So both there's similar trajectory from these guys. Both very vocal. Both are going to be big voices in their team.
There is an important stat missing on here, though, Fogged. Who does the greater Melk impression?
Oh, come on, that's an easy one.
Yeah, Mushi would get thrashed in that one, but then I think anyone head-to-head would get thrashed in that one.
In most voices, Pycat's, it's not just a
got
Mel.
quite a
He's
few,
got
isn't
quite
he?
a few.
Yeah,
He's very
quite a
good at
few,
it.
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
got
And
the American trucker.
I often worry about it because he has got that one as well. Yeah,
Pedro.
which is fun. But like, he must be a fun player to play with in the booth. But yet, whenever I see him on screen, he looks super serious these days. Very focused.
He is like that whenever he's playing Dota. Like besides that, like outside of Dota, he's a very like
Fun,
very charismatic,
laid
like
back.
lovely,
Yeah.
laid back guy. But he gets super serious whenever he's playing.
Yeah, definitely in there right
Look
now.
at
See, he even said, yeah, he agreed with us right now. One of the other players we haven't spoken about too much on this Optic side is Zai. How do you see his transition to this team? He's had a bit of a weird road to get here, isn't he?
Yeah, I wasn't so sure when he started off lane on this team, but right now he's definitely found his footing on his team. They have much more balance between him supporting with PPD compared to when 3-3 was supporting with PPD. I feel like the teamwork is way better. Execution in a lot of their team plays, the smoke gangs were a lot better. And definitely, this is the place where I feel Zai is much more comfortable with right now in this team, even though he said that he wants to play off lane.
Sure.
Yeah.
In terms of, it's funny that we have that matchup on screen because the next man I was going to talk about is Ice 333. He's just one of those enigmatic players in the whole scene, right? It doesn't really matter what lane he plays other than support. Winter, don't get too carried away. You want to see him on flashy heroes. You want to see him do fun stuff. You want to see him break out the Pango in the group stage and destroy another team with it. That's what you want from this player. Is it the most effective use of him, though?
Definitely, I think that's the way his like playstyle. That's his whole persona. Everything kind of like just embodies that. The way he's like walking around with his pink slippers out on the stage and everything too. That's the way he wants to play. It just gets in your opponent's heads.
Yeah. But yet Winter would quite happily see him play a support.
I think the micro supports Chen Enchantress, but besides that,
only those supports. I don't think
You don't want him transitioning fully, do you?
No,
Okay.
I don't think he's gonna play anything else but Chen. Maybe Enchantress. Those are the only two heroes. But right now, it seems like we talk a lot about the Pangolier for him. I think that's one of his big heroes at the moment. Not sure.
Not going to get that let through, are they?
But it's hard to say though. We talk about the Pango being something that you want to ban against Mineski. But we've seen so many series start off with the first game by the enemy team giving their opponents their best heroes to see how it goes, to test the waters.
Yeah.
and both sides play the Pango too. So it's just like this could be where some mind games come out, maybe some steal picks as well.
Yeah, could be a lot of fun in this one. Jack and Mineski's group stages, they look fantastic. Their score suggests that they were fantastic. We didn't see all of their games, but from what you saw, how do you rate them?
I think this team has a lot of flexibility right now. I think they had issues at times where maybe too many resources needed by their cores to be successful. Like that's where Daryl excels on many of his heroes. And so that is a resource distribution problem. We saw in the group stage, they ran some of these slower heroes that have really struggled. I think they won a game with Anti-Mage, won another game with an Invoker. They've been able to make that work. And a big piece of that is kind of Moon and his adaptability. So I think that they have been able to play fast when they need to, and they've been able to slow things down and secure the lanes when they need to as well. So I think this team plays very well in lanes right now. I think there's a bit more flexibility with the drafting. Talked about 71, like how, in the past he would be more of a dictator, I think, on previous Chinese teams with the drafting and stuff, listening more to input now from the players. So I think all these things have come together. This is a team that lanes well and can play different styles pretty well.
And they run off momentum a lot. It's a lot of the big thing you mentioned it to me. It's like the SEA teams, and when they start feeling themselves, they start playing really well. And I actually got to hang out with Ninja Boogie a bit last night. We were talking to him, and they feel pretty confident. And not only just that, because of like the way they've been playing, but the way they practiced for this. They've been like heavy practicing. Like 71's been putting them through quite a regime, pretty much like controlling everything.
Okay. One of the criticism, if there was any criticism of their performance in the group stages, and I actually had an email from a very good Dota friend. I'm not going to tell you who he is because you will all know who he is. And he said to me, they got really lucky with this patch. How true is that? Was it just really lucky timing? I think, Winter, you may have said something on the first day when we saw that it was Pango was out. We were like, if we're going to pick any of the teams to use this, it's probably Payne and Mineski. And sure enough, day one, we see Mineski break it out. Does that play into this? Or does that take away from their really good performances in the group stage?
I think it helped a little bit, but I feel like, because I've been with them before in the past, I feel like the biggest thing that changed the most is putting that trust into 71 to sit down and draft. I feel like that is, to me, the biggest change, even bigger than the patch. If they're playing on the old patch, I think with 71 drafting, I feel the change is going to be seen there.
So the patch is complementary, I guess, to what they were already doing. It plays into the 71 drafting for them, more trust, better preparation before they come in, good scrims. Then they get the patch as well, and it's just kind of like that little bit of extra cherry on the top of the icing, I guess.
It was, and I felt like they even looked at the patch like some people were like, oh man, Chen's not going to be as good anymore. They went right in, they picked that Chen like right away as the patch hit, and it was just like, oh wow, they made it work, and everybody's like, oh, Chen's still pretty damn good hero, okay. So they're very confident in themselves, and it's been displayed in their picks, their plays, all throughout this.
In terms of the balance between these two teams, Winter, what is it that both have got to do? What are their win conditions to get this series done?
I think the mid matchup. Jack mentioned a little bit about Nana adapting. Like before this, he was much more Moon. He was much more resource dependent. He wants to farm more. But in the group games, it's been a long time. It's the first time I see he was like trying to help his team a lot more. That was also why Daryl has been getting that extra space to work things out with. And we know Daryl is a player that needs a lot. So Moon adapting to that, I think that's a big change. And for Optic, CC and C. Is he going to get a good matchup? Is he going to get a good game? What if the team needs him to be the sacrificial hero and Piker needs to take more farm? Are they going to be able to do it?
Yeah, I mean, that's been a theme through the group stage, Fog, doesn't it? In the sense that I don't want to take anything away from Optic, but they have a similar philosophy, it seems, to the way that EG do, with Fear, for instance, being that kind of sacked lane often, but still able to hold his ground, still able to make the lane even if he can. CCNC hasn't been as strong in that department, has he? When he's got a good hero and he's given a great matchup, no problem. Great player.
It's hard to step up to Fear, right? Like, I mean, Fear is such a long-time player. He has a lot of comfort. He's been playing forever. He's just very reliable in all these situations. And I think CCNC, he's starting to show some promise, though. I think in some of those games, he did carry. I saw him play some, like a PL game one game. He played excellent. And now when he's playing like these Dragon Knights and everything, he knows his role, and he's starting to get, it looks like he's feeling a lot more comfortable on the stage.
I guess my question is do Mineski look at him and think, how can we exploit that? Is that a weak link in Optic? Because there's something we can do to put him in a position where he is going to struggle, and therefore we can then capitalize on that. Are they thinking that far?
I think they're probably thinking a lot more about themselves, to be honest, just because of the way that they've been preparing so much before this tournament. I think they're just like, let's just do us. We can respond a little bit to Optic, but more importantly, just
less of counter picking, but more on how they're going to play their game. They just want to execute the game plan.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, it's hard to assess sometimes whether you should focus on yourself. Is it the draft? Is it how you play? Certainly that component's always there. If they were game planning against Optic, I would say Pycat's going to get a lot of protection and potentially carry the game, and then that 33 is also kind of an X factor because he plays a lot of these different heroes that can really disrupt the game out of that position. So you're talking about these lone druids. There's the Venomancer band, Broodmother obviously as well. So you want to avoid just having that be a total game changer.
So we do get a Pango ban, and we do get a Willow ban.
And look at those other two bans from Mineski, too. So take out those obnoxious 33 heroes.
That's
And that's the
a bit
Chen.
of, that's a bit of respect, isn't it, on both
Looks like,
sides?
yeah, that's like the 33 bands
Yep.
and Zai,
Yep.
and then the Ice bands.
Yep.
Radiant team pick.
I think both teams have identified who their
This is
feared
the
person is.
replacement of Chen. We mentioned a lot about the similarities between Chen and Nature's Prophet.
Yep.
They have a lot of lane presence, a lot of lane pressure, can be put in multiple rows, multiple lanes. And Optic has
10
been
seconds remaining.
showing that they really like to open their draft with A and Prophet, because A is not banned.
5
Prophet is one of
seconds remaining.
the better heroes against A during the early game.
Wouldn't be a surprise to see an AA
Radiant
here, would it?
team pick.
Or a
Sand
Sand King. Considering both Zai and 33 have played this. And in both lanes.
Maybe Witch Doctor because of the Prophet instead of the A.
Yep.
I don't know about the A. I don't like A against Nature's Prophet early.
10 seconds
I feel the
remaining.
game becomes so difficult that you kind of don't want to sit in the Prophet's lane and you try to
5
roam as A
seconds
and then it
remaining.
ends up in a disaster usually.
Yeah, they've also prioritised the Bane for PPD as well,
Yeah.
more recently. Seems to have gone back to that as well. It's almost like they went away from it and then came back to it.
Whoa.
Instead, though, we're going to get the best hero in the game.
I did not expect that one at all, to be honest. I was really expecting, like, yeah, the Witch Doctor, just they go for that comfort AA. This is a bit of a difference. I think this hero is just going to be to, like, you can kind of deal with the treants
Did
a
you
little
just
bit.
call it this hero?
Yes, this hero. I did that.
10
I knew you'd
This
notice.
hero?
I knew you'd notice, dude. No, I think
The
the
hero.
the
Fold.
Jakiro can do, like, the laning phase. You're a bit slow, but you have, like, your nuke is okay to kill the
Yeah.
treants off, and I think it's to match the pressure because Nature's Prophet's going to be doing all this split push and keeping the waves constantly pushed in, and Jakiro can kind of match that. You're going to just sit in the lane, dual breathing, probably dying and just hitting towers with liquid fire.
It sets up a good Rubik game though. Rubik
Radiant
against Sand
team
King and
back.
Jakiro. Whoa, this is a lot of like early pressure. Nature's Prophet and Dragon Knight lane presence. They take towers very quickly. If Optic somehow doesn't get like a good laning phase, their towers are just gonna fall.
It's a very
10
VP
seconds remaining.
early draft.
They're really changing up in a lot of
remaining.
the heroes that they're
Yeah.
prioritizing.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, it's great to see them back again after they had such a great start to the DPC. First two tournaments, got a grand final, won a minor,
Yeah.
and then kind of disappeared off the face of the earth ever since, and have struggled. So it's nice to see them back.
Yeah, you called the
Radiant
Rubik, so
team
Optic does
back.
take that one out.
They ban a TB.
Heroes that don't care about the Nature's Prophet, right? Like Terrorblade just stands there, at
Yeah,
least in the laning
But
phase.
from what I understand about them previously is Nana doesn't really like to play the Dragon Knight, but he'll play it
10
if he has
seconds
to.
remaining.
Generally, when they pick the hero,
Mushi
Mo-
plays it
Moshi,
too, though.
yeah, Moshi,
Moshi plays it,
plays it
yeah.
more. So I don't. That might actually give away like info because usually when you see DK, you're like, oh, you're not sure where the DK is gonna go. But when
Yep.
you're certain that in this team there's only like one player, then it takes away a lot of the strength of
true.
picking the hero early.
Yeah, still a lot of lane flexibility here with both first picks from both teams. We haven't
Yeah.
seen a core Jakiro in a while, but that's another possible option.
Oof.
Could make a lane
Oh,
very
oof.
dicey.
Paul hates the joke for Jakiro.
Whoa.
It can make the lane very dicey, apply a lot of pressure, make some difficult matchups, and you take the towers very quickly as well. So,
Yeah.
or I mean, it's most likely going to be Peter on this hero, and like you mentioned, Fak, he often just like sits in the lane, just runs down the lane. It's like, come kill me. If you have to commit more than one hero, it's usually
That's-
not worth it.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be his job. I think Mineski could maybe look at banning the Luna here because there's already a lot of like pressure coming out. And it's pretty strong here with all the push.
But the other hero that they could possibly go to is like the Bat Rider. If they want to swap the Prophet into support position, Bat Rider is really, if they pick Luna, Jakiro, I think Bat Rider can maybe punish that lane and run them over with like a strong dual lane. Gives them like that initiation. Like Jakiro hates playing against Bat early on because of the turn rate. It's so annoying.
I think Leshrac is again something we've seen from some of the a lot of teams, but a lot of players you mentioned. Fogged,
10
having seen it
seconds
casually, and it's
remaining.
also something the NA
Yeah.
teams have picked up again. Again, it still gives you some lane
5
flexibility, but
seconds
it's talking about a lot of heavy magic damage and clear against Nature's Prophet and DK. The ability to hold towers and take them yourself from the core position, obviously because the Edict does so well if you're able to get him alone with the tower.
Optic could still look for something like
Dire
Underlord,
team
right? Good call, Jack.
The Lash Sand King, once again. I've seen this time and time again. So this should be C and C's hero, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
now let's pick like that. I'm pretty sure it's
10
going to be a
seconds
PP.
Unless they're
hero.
doing some weird
Yeah, it's gonna be
Jakiro
a
core,
Jakiro.
Lashrock support.
I would no, I don't think I don't. I wouldn't imagine that at least, unless it gets like heavily counterpicked, right?
Yeah.
The question remains who plays the Sand King. But again, that like this flexibility is why it's valuable
Yep.
to pick that there.
Yep.
You can go any
Zai
different
and
number of ways.
33 obviously both play that hero.
But with the Lasher, I feel like maybe Viper could be a good answer to all those magic damage. We see Mineski ran AM once. AM is also really good against the Lash.
A lot of chain lockdown though at
Yeah.
the moment.
But later, if you get away with the early game,
Sure.
AM is very good
Radiant
against
team
this kind of lineup.
An early Venge.
Go with their tempo.
Again, a little bit of flexibility.
This is a
Yeah.
hero that I think Mineski continues to value
Yeah.
more than most other teams.
Venge and LGD, when they have the Chan Beastmaster
Yeah.
kind of lineup,
Yeah.
they like to pair up with the
10
Venge.
seconds remaining.
I mean, it can be used as a support, but the Mineski
Mushi plays the hero
is
a lot.
always
Seconds
Mushi.
remaining.
Yeah.
They played it as a carry and then they baited Secret with it, I think, in the group stage
They
with thinking it was going to be a core.
Yep.
Ends up being a support.
Yep.
Mhm.
They banned a core in the last, and it wasn't.
I think, well, also with the Razor ban, Optic has to consider the Lifestealer as a very realistic pickup for Mineski, especially against all this, the magic immunity and the being able to get up close to some of these Optic heroes is a real problem.
I actually kind of like if Brood Mother's picked right away right now, because Venge is very weak in the laning phase if they're running, and Prophet doesn't want to lane against. Like, they have already two heroes that don't want to lane against Brood, and we've seen, like, from today, if you don't pick the Brood in a fourth pick here, if Brood is really
gonna
a good
get
pick, you're
banned.
Yeah,
never,
it won't
you're
get to-
never,
it
you're
wants to
never
get to
gonna,
six.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're never gonna get the Brood. But it's a risk. You're wondering if you want to take at this point.
So it's been predominantly
Dire
banned
team
sixth
pick.
in games.
That's a-
More wings.
As a great hero against Venge, all the Aura heroes, but that means that somebody is like Jakiro is gonna be core, right? It should be Jakiro. I think Peter's
I
gonna
think you're
play.
right now. Yeah.
I think Peter's gonna play the Wyvern, and maybe 3-3 is gonna play the
10
Jakiro.
seconds remaining.
Interesting.
It could also be a core Wyvern.
5 seconds
Um,
remaining.
so
That's
against
even more crazy than a core Jakiro, isn't it?
Radiant team
No, not really though. I think
No?
it's almost the same level.
I like
Jakiro.
Gyro versus Wyvern. All that magic damage to go through that cold embrace.
What else has wings?
Puck.
That's what it is then.
Dire team ban. Dire team pick.
And there's the Brood ban.
the core Wyvern, again, the the damage from the Arctic Burn is good against Dragon Knight. You have a lot of attack range. You also have a lot of, obviously, AoE and wave clear. So if this hero gets farmed up a bit, can stand his ground, it can transition into a pretty solid
Yeah.
third core.
Mm. It's not often we have 3
10
dragons in the same
seconds
game, is it?
remaining.
So the last one should be like some maybe Earth Spirit, Night Stalker kind of hero.
5
I think
seconds remaining.
there's a high chance Darrow's gonna play the Prophet. The Venge will be support. Mike will play the Ninja Boogie will play the Venge, and the last one will be like a Jabs hero. They're gonna need like some silence against the save from Winter Wyvern. So I think maybe the Night Stalker / Earth Spirit would be a good complement to that. And they
I
go
think, yeah, I like the Air Spirit personally. I feel like they need a little bit more team fight.
Radiant
There's a
team
disruptor
pick.
still left.
wait
Whoa.
no. So that's actually the Darrow hero. So Prophet is the support.
They already knew where they were going
Instant
for.
morphling
and
versus
they go to
Gyro.
morph. Yep. Well, that's one of the more unusual drafts
don't-
we've seen.
They don't have a lot of catch for this Morphling. They've got DK stun as well as Venge. They're going to have to itemize in order to actually kill him. Being able to steal flak is going to
But
be pretty strong.
I think Morphing's
Okay.
gonna have a hard early game. Prophet is really good. I think what's gonna happen is this Jabs Prophet's gonna go to the Morph lane and send the Treants on him, and he's gonna have a really, really tough time with the Baron on top of that.
That was a Zai.
Zaiji Kiro, right?
So who picked the core? So what's the
It's
so,
Sanking
Wyvern
core.
is PPD.
Yeah, Sanking core. Leshak core.
Very, very interesting.
I'm still not convinced though. I think the Morphling is gonna have a really difficult time in the laning phase. So yeah, call me biased, call me anything, but I'm going with Mineski.
All right.
I
Okay.
was gonna go Mineski before the drafts, but I actually like this Morphling pick. I think if he doesn't get crushed in the lane, he's gonna really take over. So I will go for the biased pick of Optic.
Wow, really?
I liked Mineski before. I even said it.
Yeah, I'm shocked. Winter, which way did you go? Remind us.
Mineski, of course.
Okay.
I think Optic is pretty
Jack,
good synergy.
save us.
I think Optic has pretty good synergy, but they could find themselves in a reactive position very quickly. They could lose towers very quickly. That'll make it a pretty difficult game to play. We're basically praying for Pycat to make things happen. So I like Mineski in this game.
Okay. All right, then. 2 for Mineski and 1 for Optic. It's not often you get a dragon in a game. It's not often you get 2 in a game. How about 3 in the game and 1 of them with 2 heads? This is going to be a lot of fun as we head into game number 1 between Optic and Mineski.
This is like Game of Thrones just taken to a whole new level. A bunch of dragons, but we put 2 into 1. Optic Gaming. Very solid draft. We're both sitting here saying we're liking the way they were going. A little concerned about their lane rotations, but you seem to be very confident in their laning phase.
I think people underestimate just how strong this Wyvern's going to be against the lineup of Mineski. And it fell out of the meta for a while, but it's super strong. And this Morphling is like the win condition. And I've always I've played against Optic like 40 times in the last 3 months. The way they beat you is when Pycat is on a last pick win condition hero. And that's what he's got. They're not going to get crushed in lanes. CCNC's on a hero that's really hard to feed on. They're going to crush this game. Optic.
You actually you said 80-20, right?
Yeah,
like
80-20.
is what you were saying
Yeah.
previously. So what's the 20 for Mineski? Like they do still seem to have a lot of the heroes who have been very successful during this tournament. The Gyrocopter maybe not so as far as the win percentage goes, but it's kind of like a lot of the go-to heroes for the tournament. So what is Mineski's 20% strength?
If they hit a certain timing, like they have Vengora, it's really like the Prophet can snowball the lanes to the point where now DK, Venge, Gyro are just unstoppable. Baden, like their whole lineup hits this timing with like Gyro BKB, Helm of the Dominator on a Baden, maybe a Medallion. They have Venge swap behind them, maybe a team fight item on Fury and whatever's missing. And at like 10-15 minutes, if they're 3 towers up, the Morphling's going to be running around with Treads and a Perseverance.
Yeah.
So that's the 20 right there.
Oh,
If they get past 20 even, Optic wins.
Well, we can finally get ourselves into the game. We were held up just after the draft was done as we paused. I don't know if that was for the light show game show that was happening previously, but good luck, have fun to come out as Optic. They are looking to progress themselves into the next round, see if they can reach that semi-final that has been eluding some of our teams today. Luckily, this isn't an elimination day. If they lose the best of 3, they're still the lower bracket, but it's a dangerous area. Everything is a best of 1 in that lower bracket, so best of luck to all teams.
Ooh, I like this ward just placed by Zai up to block the easy camp. He actually ate a tango for that as well. So it'll be the D ward that gets placed like here will actually miss it.
You have to wait until it finishes, and then
Oh,
we can have a
introductions,
closer look at it. But yeah, trying to keep the control of the top camps at least, and we actually have a sentry ward. Ninja Boogie has a sentry ward on him, so we can come up. So this is the observer ward that we're talking about, just on the edge of the camp. Isn't though cutting a tree like that a little bit more obvious that that's going to be where the observer ward is, and you can just put one a little bit further up on the hill to the right?
It is,
the sentry.
But at the same time, I've actually never seen that before, and I've looked at people warding for like countless games, and that's something new to me. You can also cut a tree like down here on the bottom right, which is the usual one. But as you said, yeah, I mean maybe it's just gonna get dewarded anyway. But you know what? It's fancy, and it means that you actually have to go either on the high ground or into that little divot to find it, which which sometimes people are disciplined and they don't see it, as you can see based on the vision.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how long it can last. It gives them no vision whatsoever. So it's a pure blocking ward, and the laning phase is 33, and Zai will try and utilize the fact there is no pull on the top up against Mushi and Ninja Boogie. That leaves our mid lane as Lashrak versus DK, CCNC versus Amun. He's got an extra N in there. And then Ice down the bottom lane, working with jabs against PPD and Pycat. The lane with no real aggression and stuns, but a lot of lane presence.
Yep, and down bottom, Ice will start off the lane pretty nicely because he had a sentry pulled to him, and he actually de-warded the Radiant ward on the rune spawn bottom, so 300 golden XP for him.
Oh, that is a pretty damn good start.
I think this is the key lane for this game. If the Abaddon Prophet can snowball, I think that's, like, you just have to shut down Pycat. That's how you're going to win this game. Slow him down.
Shutting down Pycat's one big thing. Having Ice, having momentum, this always seems to be a good way for Mineski to move forward. Jabs, however, a little bit of trouble on the run. Chase will not continue, however. The trees are more of a nuisance than anything.
Yep.
Pycat went for more to begin with, so no repositioning waveform just yet. That observer ward that we're talking about up on the top lane before, it was not de-warded. The sentry is just out of range of it. So this camp will remain blocked for the entire duration of the ward.
And it's all because he ate that tree, too. It's the little things, Toby.
You like it.
Yeah. The mid lane also is an interesting matchup. We haven't really seen that much. Lesh versus DK. The key for Optic is going to be to rotate to this lane at least once or twice before the Dragon Knight can start pressuring and getting ahead, because the Lesh has a ton of kill potential with just one stun to help him out. Choosing to start the lane with a Bassi is CC&C. Something I haven't seen before, but a lot of people are going Aquila on these int heroes nowadays, and I like that.
Can't remember if it was you or Fog that was talking about just the damage increase, having the +7 for the ring. Just how effective that's going to be. At least lets him stand toe-to-toe a little bit more, as it is a 9-2 versus a 10-2 as far as the CS in the mid, so very nice and even. But the creep wave, there's an extra one right now for Moon.
Yeah, the bottom lane.
Top lane as well, Burrow Strike underneath the tower, pretty deep. Mushi, and the Splinter Blast from Zai is continuously keeping Mushi low, and is so far out of range, he's not getting one charges back for it.
Bottom lane is key, though. Abaddon, Ice, 12 and 10. The Morphling just 3 and 0. So they are crushing this bottom lane. And we've talked a lot about Pycat, but I'd say for Mineski, Ice is always the X factor.
The secondary sentry, how much money can you waste? The line crossover is just
right?
that one
Dude,
spot.
I'm like, come on.
Cutting the tree down. They'll look at the replay later on and go, man, how the hell did this happen? But
it's actually so huge.
There's 200 gold down the drain for a support in the lane that's already having a rough time.
Tell you, you don't often see wards that maybe it's probably been used before, but it's crazy. Like, this is a big series for Optic. Both these teams not in the running just yet for the DPC invite to TI.
Yep.
But a second place at this major, you're in top 8, baby. You get an invite.
Yep. If Mineski actually get in the top 4, they're already into the top 8. PPD, trouble on bottom lane. Jabs is dropping down low, however. They'll get the dual breath off and the liquid fire. So Jabs, he'll be freed thanks to the aphotic shield of Ice, and he is really getting in the minds of Optic, taunting them up.
Yep. This is the big weakness of Morphling, is just being pressured early on. You don't have the ability to just last it with your huge damage advantage, because you're always consistently threatened by these by this dual lane, and you just get pressured off. Like, Abaddon Prophet's just so strong. And they're keeping lane control too, which is key. You see Jabs is going to block the easy camp with his Treant. That's going to prevent them from pulling, and in the meantime, Ice just keeps lane control. And if Morphling runs up, he'll get ran at.
Well, Zai's going to have a haster, and he'll have to use it to escape Ninja Boogie, or potentially turn around to attack into Ninja Boogie. Thanks to that Arctic Burn, he goes up into the air. Ninja Boogie does not want to take this battle. TP's away to safety. So at the 5-minute mark, Pycat? No. There's shields. He has to waveform away from this. When the 5-minute mark hits and you can pop those shrines up on top, do you want to see the Winter Wyvern rotate bottom and just tilt the balance of power on that bot lane?
That's part of the reason the Abaddon pick is so strong, because you're going to remove the Arctic burn debuff and the Jakiro Q. So you can't actually pressure Ice out of this lane anymore.
So even if you bring the hero in, it won't help.
You can maybe kill the Prophet, but he's going to get shielded and just run away.
So
you don't have any stuns.
So then do you bring SK instead? Like, you bring in his points to Caustic Finale and you move Morphling north.
Yeah, I think you
middle
have
lane,
to.
Jab's going to TP over Dragon Tail stun. Ninja Boogie's got Wave of Terror plus the Magic Missile. And Lashrak, well, Raindrop just came in on the Courier. He's locked inside the Sprout, however, meaning there is no escape, and torn it away, Jabs.
Man, this feels like I might just already be wrong on the prediction. It was the same when I called the game against TNC earlier, and I failed to take into account just how fast these SEA teams have been playing at this event. And you can already see Mineski applying pressure in every lane. They already have an advantage that's bigger than the gold would demonstrate, because the item advantage is going to be Abaddon with this Helm of the Dominator. Like, you can't stand against this hero anymore once he picks that up.
Smart TP out from PPD, but now Pycat might be in a little bit of trouble. Ice, and Jabs, they want to dive under the tower. Pycat has a TP of his own, going to commit his one charges, waveform, and then complete the TP. They have been totally forced out of the lane. He can at least only go back to Shrine.
This is insane.
This is support Prophet with an insane Abaddon.
Yep.
Just control the bottom lane, wreck it hard. But Optic still have a lot of push power themselves.
I also love... Ice went for 3 points in his Curse of Avernus before Shield. I'm going to check out mid.
Yeah, Moon's on the run back to the tower. Zion's too far away. He couldn't reach with the Arctic Burn in time, but 33 goes on the top lane. Burrow strikes forward, doesn't have a point up in Sandstorm. He put both into the Caustic Finale. So SK, support is too quick to come when you bring a support like this. Like, Nature's Prophet can just TP in.
And the thing about Optic's draft is we talked about this the other day. They have no real playmaking ability. It's a Sand King Blink Dagger. Until then, they are completely at the mercy of Mineski, praying for this massive counter initiation thanks to Wyvern. But I don't see Mineski giving that to them, and they're going to outpush, outfarm them for quite some time, and they're just so ahead.
Yep. They have to go into full recovery mode right now. Morphling needs to find space, but you know the way Ice plays this off lane every single time, he never backs off. He doesn't just rotate to a different lane. As the Abaddon, he's very happy to just sit there and accept the status quo, accept the fact that the Gyrocopter, well, he's getting more CS now. He's probably the weakest of all the cores, but the DK at 41.9 can add pressure with Dragon Form. He can force the rotations of Optic, while Ice gets all of these beautiful items that just allow his entire team to sit there, farm, and survive.
And I love what they just did. Ninja Boogie went on this nighttime warding mission. Oh, they're diving mid.
Yeah, PPD's dead.
Yeah, wow. And they can just pressure. But look at the wards he's placed. One on the top shrine. That'll help protect his top lane. Another behind the tier 1 Radiant Tower. And in the meantime, there's an Abaddon bottom. He doesn't need any wards. He's level 7 with the Helm of the Dominator. So they have total control now of nearly the entire map. They're
Optic are going to try and fight. The lightning is out. Pyket's in the neighborhood. He's going to focus onto the DK. 33 making his way over. They got Waveform as well available. Hits on both Jabs. Nice Ice. They come in to try and survive this one. Jabs shielded up. But Optic, that heavy rotation over. They wanted a lot more than the DK, but they'll still be satisfied with that. Meanwhile, Zai, Arctic Burn won't help him. One charges as he crawls along the edge of the cooldown.
Yep. Mushi also going for a max flak build. No points rocket just yet, so he's going to be able to farm stacks very easily and efficiently. They don't have too many just yet, but it's just the easiest way for a gyrocopter to accelerate.
Yeah, they actually only have the one, which is near the top lane. That's it.
Bam. I mean, the problem is just this Abaddon. Like, what is Morphling? Pycat is level 4 hitting an Ogre camp right now, and there's a nearly level 8 Abaddon with an HOD in his lane.
Yep. And he's pushing towards that bottom tier 2 tower. Support's there from Jabs. Like, he can just farm up the camps while he waits, but he's keeping eyes out. The Treants move for a scout. They see CCNC's rotation, so Ice can back off, or potentially they can kill off Jabs. Arctic Burn allows you to fly right over the top of the Sprout. PPD's in the neighborhood, and the Dragons are ganking up on the Prophet.
Yep. In the meantime, though, this is similar to what we saw in the EG vs. Newbie series the other day, where Mineski's always got a core in every single one of their lanes. So even though you get these free kills on supports, they're still farming a lot more than you.
Yeah, the trade-off is just, it's too good for Mineski. That's why the Grabs can continue to move their way. 4,000 now, the net worth advantage, 9 minutes in, and about the same for the experience too.
Yep. Let's keep in mind, one of the big changes in the 2 patches previous, there's a smoke going towards top right now that was sniffed out by the ward placed behind the tower. But you're now getting net worth gold based
33.
on the...
He feels like a little bit of bait. Boris strikes forward. The Magic Missile will be there. Epicenter still available, and here comes the support. CCNC rotates over, so they'll lose the life of 33, but CCNC will get Mushi in return. They'd love to gain Ninja Boogie too, and they should be able to. He's slowed down through the trees to Pulse Nova. It won't reach him on the second one, so they just let the lightning loose. So 2 heroes down the top, but now Moon pressuring the mid tower. They try and use the D push of PPD, but this allows Jabs to TP in behind the tier 1 tower and keep the attack up. PPD goes to his own tree line and looks for the extra slow. More support, they know it can come. CCNC has done the long run down from the top lane, and this will allow Mineski just to bail out through the south.
Yep, in the meantime, Abaddon's rotated top. He's going to start pushing that tower. The issue is, in the meantime, they gave Morphling a ton of space bottom. Pycat farmed like 3 waves, and now he can just go there uncontested. And I really think Mineski, they're going to smoke down now. You want to continue contesting the off lane. Do not allow Pycat to recover for free.
But your mid lane can become more problematic. I suppose you've only got 2 points up in the Liquid Fire, so the Jakiro is not as intimidating for the push. But they are still thinking about the other rotation, which is moving a little bit more to the side. The DK illusions get scouted out. Burrow Strike already used by 33, so Ninja Boogie and Mushi maybe believe they had an opportunity. But no, they're sticking in the mid. They want to keep going on this.
This is risky. I don't think you want to take a fight without your Abaddon nearby.
Well, there's your initial stun onto CCNC with the call down as well. This happened at the perfect time because Ice was pressuring the tier 1 tower. So they moved 33 up to the top lane. This is where they're going to try and battle against Ice. Heals shield. Burrow Strike's available, so is Epicenter. Borrow Time is on cooldown, but they're not going to commit here, Optic.
They can't kill him. If he uses stun with Wyvern ult on cooldown, he just TPs away to a shrine, no problem. Yeah. if you look bottom, like Jabs is actually able to lane against this Morph thing. He finishes treads, but top 3 net worth all in control of Mineski right now. But bear in mind, the thing is, Optic's always just one fight away. And if Mineski takes their foot off the gas, there will be a point when the Morphling is a big problem.
Yeah. So how do they keep their foot on the gas? Like, is it just behind every single Dragon form you want to be pushing? Or is that even essential?
A lot of it is that they've managed to dominate the early game while still accelerating and going for tempo items, aka the gyro skilling flak. He's going to rush a drum. The Abaddon gets HOD. Now he's going to look to a Radiance. They don't need to end the game at 20 minutes, but they do want to be in a dominating position. They want a Roche and they want like 10k plus. They have to continue to accelerate, and then you can ignore the Morphling. But if the game is even or even a 5k lead when it hits 2025, that's when it gets a little scary.
The early medallion pickup as well in Nature's Prophet, not only great for heroes, but also for that Roshan you're talking about. It may enable them a little bit earlier on. PPD on the run in the middle lane, the double damage dragon form. Well, we know who the superior dragon is. Meanwhile, up on top, CCNC and 33, cleaning up the back lines. TPs will be cancelled.
Look at the catapult, though. Just dragging the creep wave away.
Shielded and running. Like,
it's so hard to deal with.
They're being delayed. Like, Moon's going to have time to even hit into the tier 2 tower mid if he wanted to, but he won't. He'll wait.
He actually just stops the push. Ice, baby.
They see Ninja Boogie. There were some pings coming out at the time. I think they saw the fact he ran up. So aggressive wards were placed. Ninja Boogie. Okay, 33. Wide dive. Oh, okay. I think there's been more taunts than abilities cast by Mineski during this game. And with Bara Strike off cooldown in 1 second time, Ninja Boogie is most definitely dead. He cannot complete a TP, and they even ensure the Pycat gets the kill. On bottom lane, Curse is out, slowing down Mushi. He's got a creep wave, as well as Splinter Blast, dropping Mushi down low. 33, Bara Strike once more is off cooldown, waits for the TP to happen, and then they can kill off Mushi. Even more support. Pycat and CCNC, they came into the shrine. Mineski bit off more than they can chew. They wanted to force the issue, but now they're going to end up losing 2 cores, and it's the big ones for Mineski.
Yeah, Pycat actually stunned the DK by becoming DK. One of the reasons I think this Morphling hero is super strong right now and vastly underpicked. And Mineski making a key error. You got to fight around your Abaddon. If you're going to group up with him. Otherwise, the moment you see these TPs coming in, you got to get the hell out of Dodge.
But it's the opposite way that Mineski normally function. Like, it's normally Ice that's out there by himself, just forcing in the side lane. So even if they lose the fight, he gets a rebuttal on the side lane.
And it's okay there because they're still pushing in every lane while their Prophet is farming jungle. You just don't want to lose 2 cores like that. You'd be a lot more comfortable with that if you lose just like the 1 or 2 heroes. But then you give a kill to Pycat and he gets a free couple of waves. You're not pressuring these towers just yet. Abaddon's going to rotate down bottom, still going for the Radiance. But I really want them to like take a Roche, maybe get a tier 2 here or there.
Well, there at least is Mushi's extra stack. Looks like he's looking for a BKB before they start fighting. With Abaddon having 4 points up in the curse, they can slip into Roshan. They may need more damage though, right? Like, this doesn't feel as strong from Mineski just to finish Roshan before you can have like a potential Arctic burning Winter Wyvern come in. The curse will cause a lot of problems in a clustered area. You can scout out as well with Jakiro. Macropire will be problematic. You never knew when 33 was going to get his Blink Dagger. He has it at the moment, walking around on bottom lane, so he can combo with Pycat, just staying out of vision.
I really think that the Moon's DK should have gone for some sort of initiation item before the Hooded Defiance. If he has a Shadow Blade or a Blink, it's a lot easier for Mineski to make plays.
Oh, Ice. He turned around for half a farm? No, I thought for a moment they would go for it, just because you also brought in Zion, CCNC, but they walked underneath the Dire Observer Ward.
Yeah, Mineski wants to play this skirmish and just split fight, find pickoffs game, but they actually don't have the ability to do so because no one can get in to provide that TP support from Furion. Like, Gyro and Furion and even Venge to an extent, they're follow-up. And this DK's got to be the guy to start a fight, but all he can do is walk in slowly.
So well read by Optic. They have an Observer Ward up in the mid lane, but there's no more pressure being applied near there. So Mushi will reveal himself. They smoke looking for a gank. It does not come.
It's a great ward. One of those VP special wards Sancheng outlined. If you look to the tier 2 Radiant top, this is to set up for later pushes and also gives great vision. You need to find the Wyvern if you're Mineski. If you take him out, you can push to your heart's content. But with Wyvern alive, you always have to be a little concerned.
Well, the push is going to come fast enough. Optic are not positioned to defend this tier 2 tower. So Mineski will claim it. In return, Optic trying to put those 3 points in edict to good use. CCNC Fantastic pusher, but more support coming towards the top lane. Not certain you want to complete this. Moon as well as Ice is there. The TP coming in as well from Prophet, hoping for a little bit of extra fun, but shielded up. Actually, they have it. CCNC swapped back in and just exploded. You know, I thought 1 or 2 heroes would come into that, but Mineski brought the whole enchilada. That was 5 heroes ready to fight the top lane.
Bear in mind, and it's good rotations because Mineski got that tier 2 bottom. They pushed mid.
33 does not have a TP scroll available yet. It's 11 seconds on cooldown, so he can keep the run going. But okay, there's no one else nearby once the homing missile connects. He is absolutely A-okay.
Yeah. Mineski doing a good job. Ice is just continuously doing so much work with this catapult. He's just pulling waves. This one to his DK. They don't actually need to be playing mid because he just continuously drags it around in circles.
Zai is still up here. He can go back invis for a moment, but the homing missile is chasing him down. The courier's given the extra vision, so he'll get stunned up. No one charges, no mana. In fact, he was 1 mana short of being on that Burrow Strike, but then he wouldn't have had mana for TP. No way to survive. But space created. PPD even have enough space on bottom lane to afford Arcane Boots. Zai's getting levels in the mid, looking towards the Glimmer Cape. And Morphling spend most of his time in the jungle.
No, I mean, game has slowed down just a little bit, but Mineski's still in a good position.
Prophet's TPing bottom. They want to catch PPD again. So it starts his TP. Where's the stun? Not in range. Moon blinking forward, but a little bit too late. So they go top instead.
Yeah, I just don't know how they're going to deal with this Abaddon. That's the thing. It's all going to be about Pycat. Pycat needs to be... He needs his E-Blade after Lincoln's and probably one more item, but it's really when he gets to that 4 slot. If he ever gets all the way up to like a Scotty, that's where the game gets out of reach for Mineski. But right now, they're still looking good just because all of their cores are so farmed, and it's just so difficult for Optic to take a fight if they keep proper spacing on Mineski.
It's going to get worse, too, once Ice completes up that Radiant. So he's only the recipe away. There's only 1 remaining outer tower as well for Optic to work with. 33, Burrow Strike. He's not following through with anything else because the Arctic Burn's keeping Ice at bay. But 33 moves over. There's your swap. They're keeping him out of it. Macro Pyre is good. And then the curse. They'll turn a Burrow Strike, meaning there's actually no damage going into the Vengeful Spirit. Maybe not the greatest synergy of abilities, but maybe CCNC. Nope, the Split Earth, Zai, TP, no! Half a second away from completion. Mid lane, Mushi underneath the tier 1 tower. Pycat's already used Waveform. Adaptive Strike, so enough to get the kill. Pycat has to Waveform up. TP mana, not available just yet. Now he does. On the edge of the cooldown, it will be successful.
Yep. To note, Jab's picking up a Spirit Vessel really early on. That is the item that counters Morphling. You cannot, it's 70% reduced healing, aka 70% less health when you morph. It is ridiculous, and it just counters the hero. So like Mineski keeps going up in gold advantage too. They're 9K up at 19 minutes. I think there's 10K before 20 minutes. This is what they needed to do, and they're just farming a hell of a lot faster than I think Optic expected.
And then Optic are going to have to deal with this. Radiance now on the Abaddon, not even 20 minutes, and he's #1 in the net worth, Ice. Can they just run at him? Like, can they just run at Optic? Have you got enough strength now in the Mineski lineup?
I mean, the issue with Optic, right, is that they don't actually have a real frontliner. Their heroes are all so squishy. CCNC's running around with the Yules and 1,000 health. The supports are all about 1,200, and then the Morphling is going to get Spirit Vesseled. Where in the meantime, you look at Mineski, they have an Abaddon, they have a DK and a Gyro. DK with a hood, Gyro BKB.
Yeah, the BKB's coming on the courier right now. Actually, it's kind of waiting around the mid tower, so I'm assuming that's where Mushi will TP to. Yeah, it is. Courier, turn around.
All they've got to do is dive the Wyvern. If they get the Wyvern, all of a sudden, where's the damage? And they can do that so easily because Abaddon's going to just run in. They have trees to scout from Furion, a swap if it's ever necessary, and then the BKB Gyro. I mean, there's no answer to this.
Optic have already left. That sentry ward that was just planted down by Mineski, they didn't see the Observe, but it's in range. Oh my god, they didn't leave enough. 33, the Burrow Strike. It does work, but Mushi protected by the BKB. Means the Rocket Barrage can kill off Pycat. 33. He can Burrow Strike when he comes out of this stun. Ninja Boogie wants to stay in range. Wave of Terror. There's your Burrow Strike for range. Gets out of range of the Breathe Fire. Swap for Ninja Boogie. Gets in range of 33. They still need to finish the job, however. 33, he'll run north. And they did a perfect split. No matter which way he went, he would go down.
Perfect play. In the meantime, Prophet and Abaddon already going into Roche after clearing a couple creep waves. This is textbook how to win a game with this kind of draft from Mineski. They get to a point where their advantage is high enough. You smoke because you have the BKB gyro, everything you would need to. It's risk averse. You cannot lose a fight if you just get your abilities off. You get those 2 kills into Roche, into tier 2s, and you can look to threaten anytime this Wyvern gets picked now.
Oh, Dragon tells some they found an extra hero. This will be huge after grabbing Roshan if they can kill up CCNC, but the curse is out, and it's all on the Nature's Prophet. Goodbye.
Yep.
A thorn in Optic's side has been removed, but Zai, ulti on cooldown for 70 seconds. Maybe enough to dissuade Mineski from pushing.
And I didn't realize, but Optic's draft has absolutely 0 physical damage for a while. It is just the Morphling to be counted on doing right-click, and that's going to take another 2 items at least. Everything else is magic damage. And if you look at Mineski, they're tailoring their item builds to deal with this, and I don't actually know. Like, it looks like Ice is going to go for an Ags.
Yep.
It's a perfect item. All they need to do is live through the burst. That's it. Once the FP's down, once Wyvern ult is down.
Mid lane, CCNC being pulled back in. 33 didn't really know what he could do here. So a defensive Yule Center up from Leshrac, but he'll come down the middle of the Sprout. A lot of damage into the Gyrocopter with this Pulse Nova, but it's still not enough.
Look at the sustain too. 1 Spirit Vessel and an Abaddon heal, and all of a sudden he's full HP with room to spare.
He was like 20%.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yep. That's also because Abaddon, I think, went for the extra point. Yes, plus 60 in the mist coil.
Yeah. I like it. It's all just sustain. Look at this Warden base. It's so sick. They have level 2 Venge swap up in 10 seconds, and then somebody just dies in a swap. I actually think they might even threaten high ground here. You can't fight them if you're Optic.
Moon's looking for a kill.
Yep.
He's going to find 1 target. TP support's already coming in towards the tower. 33 can see it. He'll jump over, going for the Burrow Strike, but couldn't create enough space. And now, well, Curse is on the Vengeful Spirit. DK does good damage, but not enough to kill Ninja Boogie within the timing of the Curse.
Yeah. I mean, you can see, as soon as he gets Spirit Vesseled when he's that low, Pycat's dead. You can't do anything anymore.
He's trying to build a BKB. Actually, he's jumping around between the BKB and the E-Blade. Now he's put both in his quick buy.
Very ambitious. That's sort of like, it's like I've picked out the yacht I'm going to buy, but it's going to be like 40 years.
Unless you got that kind of money raining from the skies, Jabs. Loving the class. 33, Ninja Boogie, he read this from before. It's exactly what 33 did previously. Try and creep skip out. But this time, Burrow Strike and TP, he'll do it when he has the opportunity.
This ward above top shrine, Radiant, has been placed twice this game, not sentried, and it's provided so much vision, allowing them to just continue to play in this top lane. At this point, it's not really relevant anymore because they're so strong. And as we said, I just didn't see, I wish I had seen this in the drafting phase because I would have looked a lot smarter, but Optic can't do physical damage. They cannot do anything to a gyro that gets BKB'd, and Abaddon they're just too tanky. They don't take any damage. They're going to use their spells, and Mineski's going to giggle and kill their base anyway.
A giggling little victory. Optic Gaming, they're going to be tested now. Yep. So Aegis Immortal is still on Mushi. He's got a crap ton of money, 4.6k just sitting in that gyrocopter.
Please buy something. I mean, they should go high ground with this Aegis. You want at least a tier 3. You have a minute and a half.
You can just get the Eagle Song and then just switch it in when the Aegis times out. But instead, they're moving out. They're just taking control now of the Radiant jungle. Or at least attempting to do so.
The thing is, the way they've itemized, especially considering they have a Venge and the Prophet that's already so farmed, they don't need to do anything just yet, and waiting for their next round of core items might arguably be more important than the Aegis. They're getting a pipe on Prophet, the butterfly, as you just said, on the gyrocopter. Once you have those items, then it's go time. And you're really not at risk because Optic can't really rat you as effectively because this Prophet is just a Morphling Slayer for the next 10 minutes of the game.
Yep. 33 is trying to keep that pressure out in the bottom lane. So you have up on top CC and C hiding in the trees, and on the bottom 33, everything else is just going to be a mid-fight. A jump in by Ninja Boogie, slid in with a Force Staff, got the Dust Reveal onto Zai. Morphling, you can waveform yourself away, but the Curse is out and they keep the chase going on the Pycat. He's a huge kill to take, while Mushi has killed off that mid-winter Wyvern. His Pycat that needs to be able to survive. He's turned himself into Prophet. That's not going to help him, so he waveforms a little bit further up. Ninja Boogie now rotating in through the top of Pycat, completes his TP away to safety. So the only one to die was in the mid lane, which is where the pressure is now being pushed by Mineski. They're coming in for the tier 3 tower.
There's actually a sick play. He had no teleport. It was on cooldown, so he becomes Prophet and then TPs away to base with his W. But they're losing the tier 3. Wyvern died after ulting. He has no buyback, and if he did, it wouldn't matter. And look at the sustain. Like, how do you kill anybody right now?
Uncertain. At least he had the one advantage. Mushi doesn't have the Aegis Immortal anymore, but he has the Butterfly coming on the Courier. Maybe they can kill DK before that moment. No, they can't.
Yep.
Ninja Buki ready for the swap. There's a quick 180 and 4 staffs away.
And that's the right move. They could have continued, but no reason to. You're playing into 5. You have items coming on the Courier. Just kill the shrines. Roche may respawn in 2.5 minutes. You can wait for next stages if you want, because the next item on Pycat isn't the relevant one. Even if he does get a BKB, it's that third item, the fourth one, that changes the game.
I love that sound. Taunt all you can, Jabs. I love it.
Leshrac finishing his Bloodstone. He'll have that in a moment.
I always worry about a Bloodstone build-up when you're this in arrears, because like, hey, at least you're gonna respawn quicker for the first death, but after that, it's like so many diminishing returns.
It's Leshrac is one of those heroes. It's a lot like Puck or Quap, where you snowball and you do a set amount of damage. If you get these items earlier on, it's I guess more relevant to a Storm. Actually, that's the best comparison. But when you're behind as a Storm, it's a lot like Lesh. You kind of just go out of mana or die.
The Aghanims is completed on a Baden.
Yep, it's the right choice too, because as we said, it's all burst, right? Now they just live through it. It's not like you're going to kill a Batten even if his ult was down.
It's when you go for more sustained fight, probably a reason too. Well, there's many reasons why Pycat's going for a BKB on the Morphling. But this Skadi timing is going to take longer. Dire scan, ping's correct for Mineski, so they know that there's heroes coming to find up on top, and that's the reason why they got 4 heroes. Dusting up, Zai tries to get out, goes into the Arctic Burn, defensive cold embrace. He has his curse available, but this is the reason why Mineski are perfectly split around him. He never had a target to go on.
Yep. Easy.
And that's Winter Wyvern ulti down for 45 seconds.
And honestly, Mineski's itemization is just flawless. Medallion, Spirit Vessel, Pipe on the Prophet, a Batten with the Radiance Eggs, Gyro, BKB, Butterfly.
The BKB's flying into the DK2 now too, so they got so much money, and they're coming for the mid-ranks. Support is not here for Optic, so if they want to try and hold this, they need everybody, but maybe it's worthwhile to just let it go.
DD on the Gyro helping him out.
It's actually what they do. Yeah, Pycat's taking the tier 2 tower up on the top. They realize they can't defend this without that curse, or at least the threat of curse. So Mineski, they push harder. There needs to be some kind of delay. You've still got the macro pyre from PPD, but you need that damage for the fight. Pycat's finally killed off the tower. Does he return home? Yep, the TP is available. Ice Path, it's nice. Here comes that TP from Pycat as Winter Wyvern back up. 33 with a double Bio Strike. Mushi, he's just done so much work with the cooldown and the flank cannon. They've at least found 1 kill. Moon's copping the damage from Ice, but it's not enough to kill him. That DK is so damn tanky. It's the SK who dies in the buyback from PPD, and they still lose out.
Roche is going to respawn in 2 minutes, but as you said, I don't even know if they need it. They're just so far ahead at this point. Nearly, Prophet is nearly ahead of Pycats, Morphling, and net worth. They have the top 3. Mineski's had the top 3 net worth for the, since 2 minutes into the game?
Pretty much.
Just utter domination.
Let's have a quick look at this little fight. So Mushi, he's kind of like your frontliner, or becomes the frontliner that Optic try and kill.
And you can see it's all about just making sure they use their abilities for the most part. Once the Yules is popped on Lesh, they know they can commit. The damage output on the Abaddon is high, but it's a Abaddon DK. That's what they're using everything on. In the meantime, Mushi's just sitting there like, oh, okay, guys, I guess I'll get these kills, thanks.
Yeah.
They even blow the curse on the Dragon Knight, but that you can't hurt that hero.
Optic Gaming can make another run. They've already taken everything they want from the mid and the bottom, so next objective will be the top lane. It will be Roshan. He will respawn in about 1 minute's time. So until then, it's shove in all the lanes, establish vision control around Roshan. Maybe another reason too, actually they're pinging out the fact there's a with the Gem and True Sight, they're going to get rid of that Observer Ward. Optic will have no information to contest Roshan, but I don't feel like they have another option, right? They have to go out for this.
They do, but I mean, they're going to walk up that hill into Mineski, and I think 4 or 5 of them are going to die within the span of about 10 seconds. And I don't know if they could possibly do enough damage, even if Mineski right-clicked on one another and followed them into Optic's base.
Yeah, Satanic also on Mushi.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's It's going to be never-ending regeneration for him that they just cannot sustain through.
Yep. And it seems like this concept has been winning a lot of games at this tournament. It's not necessarily about how much damage you can deal. It's how much can you sustain through. And if you look at the lineups, Mineski's got 3 incredibly naturally tanky cores and the strong lanes and the wave clear. Optic has some wave clear. Their lanes were okay, but they kind of got run over. And once you hit this mid to late game portion, they don't have anyone that can actually run forwards and provide vision because they're all so squishy. They have no one that can buy a pipe.
Here we go. BKB is freshly under pike count, a 5-man smoke out from Optic. The line is just to run straight in, but Roshan down to 2.9k. They've got to come quickly, and here's the taunt. Roshan almost dead, 300, 100. Now he goes down. Mushi is the immortal. They're looking for the kill with the swap out. Jabs, he should still die here up the hill, locked inside the Sprout. He's going to TP away to safety. He was the best kill he potentially had. Okay, he stopped half a second to taunt, while Optic will still lose 2. Buyback's coming thick and fast with a flat cannon from Mushi. It's way too strong. The gems are lost. PPD will go down to Jabs. He's already in the right position. Pinecat, no way to escape. This really is GG, well played. They've lost way too many heroes, way too many lanes, and PPD agrees. Mineski take game 1 in this quarterfinal.
Mineski is on fire. I watched them play, I watched TNC play. They have a pace that no other teams in the event have managed to even get close to matching. And I was talking to some teams, not going to name names, who scrimmed Mineski in the days that they had off. And they got dumpstered. They said they learned a lot, but how fast can you learn to emulate what they're doing? Because right now, they look unstoppable.
It's difficult as well, but Optic, you could see what their mindset was. Like, you were sitting there yourself saying, like, it's like, it should be like 80-20, right? Like, Optic had a lot of things that could work, but I wonder if they missed one of the critical components that just makes teams at this tournament work so well, especially TNC, especially Mineski, is that roaming rotator. It's the one that can influence the other lanes when things go wrong. It doesn't exist when you go a Jakiro and Wyvern support. Other parts of the concept worked really, really well. We're even talking about Wyvern as a potential counter pick to a Draw Ranger 5th, which could have come in, and yeah.
I mean, they just didn't, they don't have the damage at a certain point.
Yeah.
And as you said, I would agree with that point wholeheartedly. Once you fall behind in lanes, we talked about this the other day, you have a Wyvern and a Jakiro.
Yep.
What are they going to do?
Yeah.
Tickle somebody? It doesn't change the lane at all.
Yeah, but they definitely had a concept. So game 2, we'll see which concept both of these teams come up with. Mineski, no reason to change what's not broke, but Optic will have to go back to the board. Maybe the panel have some suggestions for them.
Indeed, maybe they do. We will find out in just a moment. Great victory for Mineski. They continue rolling on forward towards the semi-finals. Just one more game away from that. But first, let's break down game number 1. Winter, we were discussing just towards the end of that game that draft was a little bit wonky in hindsight. That they kind of went down a path. First 3 was fine, and then the Wyvern kind of was like the count of the Venge, but yeah, too many birds. It's just it led them down an alley they couldn't come back from, and that then showed during the game, didn't it?
Yeah, I was really concerned about the Morph. I even said that I don't think the Morphing will get a good game, even though it's a really good pick, because the Furion will just follow him wherever he goes. It doesn't matter how they lane the Morphing. The Morphing can go top, can go mid, wherever he goes. The Furion's sole job in the game is to make sure the Morphing does not hit creeps. Yeah. And that's what he did in the whole game.
Yeah. I mean, perfectly executed by Mineski.
It really was.
Another fast-paced game from them.
I don't know why I doubted them after watching them in the group stages.
Yeah.
They played incredibly well, and they punished the static lanes that were picked up by Optic here. I think just like, Toby was actually the one who was saying it at the end there, but Kyle mentioned too, is Jakiro, Wyvern, they can't really make too many moves around the map. They're kind of like, they have to stick in their lanes. They're not the greatest heroes to just go gank, so they actually got taken advantage a lot because of Jabs' movements, who I thought played it spectacular. I loved his itemization as well, going for that quick Spirit Vessel. And then you saw them ganking mid over and over again because they're like, how does Optic actually respond to TPs? How does Optic respond with TPs to these ganks? They can't. They have these very static supports.
Yeah, that was the point, Jack, wasn't it? They didn't really have the heroes to fight back in this game, did they?
Yeah, even if you expect to be a little bit behind in lanes, which we thought was going to happen, you need to be able to, you need to have options to play your way back in. So whether it's through forcing objectives or being able to start fights, you need one of those things to be in your favor. Otherwise, you end up just giving up the whole map. And maybe there's some lineups where you're basically onto high ground or you're really far behind. But in this case, the Morph lead needs a lot of farm, and you still don't have anyone that can really make things happen. You're just entirely at the mercy of Mineski at that point, and it becomes a very hard game to win.
Yeah, resignation on Peter's face there, wasn't it? And a completely different style of face in the Mineski booth as they enjoy winning game number 1. Toby said back to the drawing board for Optic, but that kind of was the drawing board. That was a brand new concept. We haven't seen that from them throughout the whole of the tournament, so that was something new. Perhaps now back to what they know.
Yeah, I think just picking more reliable supports is the biggest thing for me. Like Jakiro, Wyvern, the two of them together just felt a little bit lackluster. If they have one hero that can actually make plays around the map, that is probably just a better approach.
How dare you blame the Jakiro?
And if you
Blame
pick,
the Wyvern, blame the Wyvern. Okay, blame the Wyvern. Okay, sure.
It's all the
It's the-
Wyvern.
it's the
I'm
Wyvern.
blaming both.
All the
It's not them.
Wyvern's
It's not the players. It's the heroes. They couldn't really make the moves because of the aggression from Mineski.
Nice scoreboard as far as Mineski fans are concerned. Looks very nice indeed.
Very clean.
Very clean indeed. Ice without a single death. 3-0 and 10 for him. And Mushi with the casual 20k damage on the Gyro and an 8-2-10 in a very short game as well. MVP for you boys?
Furin. I don't know. For me, it's Furin.
I think yeah,
Jabs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
probably Jabs. Yeah, he had put a lot of pressure on the lanes. I was very impressed. I was doubting it because I hadn't seen him play it so much. I actually have never seen, right? I don't think I've ever seen him really play the support Furin in particular.
Usually
He played super well. And
Usually
items
he
were good.
plays a hero that can make flashy, like do flashy moves. But Furin is just a hero that it's a very different kind of hero that from the heroes that he usually plays, and he definitely chose the right itemization. Like
Yeah.
all the team items, the vessel, perfect for them all.
Stacking pipes as well, hoods, etc., to deal with like the chance at a comeback from Optic because they're all magic damage.
Carl said pipe is OP. You agree with him?
Pipe?
Yeah.
I mean, pipe is a very, very good item right now. I'm definitely inclined to agree.
Pipe is really strong against a lineup like Optic has as well. It's like you're so dependent on like magical burst. Then you pretty much can't hold your ground on anything. You can't fight. As soon as they start closing the gap with you, you have these like heroes like Abaddon that you're not going to be able to chew through or kill at all. And they're just free to do whatever they want. And then you see the Nature's Prophet, the versatility of this hero. If you pick too heavily to counter it, it just becomes a support and still does some of the same things. In addition to adding that mobility, that extra hero that can be in any lane at any time. So it's a real problem.
Don't shout about it too loud. Ice Frog might be watching. Don't want things changed too much when they work it. We'll